Planting season's just around the corner, and as it's widely known, the actions we take right now often have a big impact on the quality of our season, or just breaking this down, being able to put our tag on a big old buck. So I'm excited today to visit again with Keith and Colton from Green Cover, because they've got a new seed blend just for that. Now, it's widely known that a great technique is put these Hidey Hole food plots, those small hunting size food plots, some people call them kill plots, really close to cover where you can sneak in, approach, hunt, and exit without alerting deer that are going to be bedded there. These are often better for afternoon hunts, but they can be hunted in the morning when deer are returning that bedding area also. In those tight places, a lot of time you're doing it by hand. You can't get equipment in there, so they've come up with a Hidey Hole broadcast blend, specifically seeds used in this blend that we know work really well when planted by the broadcast technique. I'm looking forward to learning more about this blend, so stay tuned. Hey, Keith and Colton, thanks for joining me again today. Guys, we've got something pretty exciting to share, and it really relates to me because you guys have been here, but here at the Proving Grounds, it's steep, tough, and you can't get a tractor everywhere you want to put a little food plot in, especially a little Hidey Hole food plot. So me, myself, I wanted maybe to encourage y'all to come up with a blend specifically for that mission, very mission specific product, if you will, that is good for broadcasting. You know, some seeds like corn, great big seed, that's not a Hidey Hole type crop, but it doesn't get really good seed to soil contact if you throw it out there. So I want to talk about the idea of a Hidey Hole blend, a little small plot blend, basically a kill plot, some people call them, that's made of seeds that we know work really well in that broadcast planting technique. And maybe you guys could share a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Grant. It's always a pleasure to join you and be able to visit. I always learn a lot as well. So yeah, the Hidey Hole broadcast, like you said, the Hidey Hole has been a successful blend for those small areas. But what we saw, and I'll let Colton comment on this, what we have seen is that it's just difficult to get that equipment in there sometimes. And so we went to work. We basically modified that blend, made it a little less diverse, but increased the seeding rates so that from a broadcast perspective, it's going to work better. Colton, what are you hearing from people out there, even your own personal experience on these small plots and how to get them planted?
Yeah, so I get questions a lot, guys saying, hey, will this method work if I don't have any equipment? And it does. So here in Southeast Kansas and Iola, I have my buddy do most of the work, but I do have him go out there and broadcast it with just a backpack broadcaster, and he just goes cranking along. And just the main thing there is just seed to soil contact. We got a clover stand right now that looks pretty good, that Southern Clover release. But yeah, I mean, it should work. We do like to increase the rate a little bit just to make up for kind of seed sitting on top of the soil, not getting germinated, just stuff like that, but kind of increase your odds and get a good amount of food out there for the wildlife.
Yeah. So Grant, what we did with this blend is we increased the rate of the things that we know are going to work better for the broadcast application, Balanza clover and some of the cereals. And this is going to be a nice 1-2 punch because there's going to be a lot of forage grown this fall. But with the Balanza and with the Elbon cereal rye, there's going to be a lot that overwinters as well. And so it's going to be a nice plot next spring for weed control, for, bringing those turkeys in there, and even just feeding those deer, in the early part of the spring as well. So, when you're planting this, you're not just getting that forage this fall, you're also going to get a good amount out there in the spring as well. And I know we've talked about this before, but, just some basic hints on broadcasting. Colton said it right, seed to soil contact is the key. So anything that you can do to help yourself out with that is going to be good. And so if you've got a thatch there, just try to break that open somehow. If you've got an ATV, pull a section of old tine harrow or drag, just something to kind of rough up that surface so that when you go through and you do your hand crank broadcaster, the seed has someplace to fall that's closer to the soil. And then come back again with your ATV, or if it's small enough, even just a hand rake, and just kind of smooth it out. But doing something like that doesn't take very long, but it really will help how much seed gets to the soil, and the more seed that gets to the soil, the better the stand you're going to have.
Yeah, I agree. There's so many nice bucks harvested every year over these type of little food plots, tucked in fairly close to cover if you can, or travel corridor, whatever pinch point where deer are kind of heading that way, but you need to bottom them down for that bow shot. And a real effective technique, not everyone can use, but if you can, it sure is effective. If you've got leaves or last year's dead duff or something in there, we just take a hand rake or a backpack blower and rake a little line and timber around there. And very safely, you're talking a third of an acre less. Use a little backing fire, a little easy fire, and now we'll remove that duff and probably kill a few weeds there for you also, and expose the soil. And another thing it does for a Hidey Hole food plot, it converts the nutrients in that above ground portion of the plant to fertilizer just like that. So then broadcast. Now, one thing I've learned the hard way, I guess, is there's many reasons, but if you can broadcast, if you live close to the property right before rain, and a good rain, like a half inch or more, not a little mist, because squirrels and turkeys, they'll find that seed and consume it just like your grandma's bird feeder if you're not careful. So right before rain, that seed will get moist and wet. And once it starts germinating, it's not palatable to those critters anymore. And of course, those raindrops are falling about 30 miles an hour, as you guys know. So it helps the seed make contact with the soil. So if you can, it's not necessary, but if you can, spreading that right before rain really gives you a leg up on getting a good crop.
Yeah. And when people have done that, they kind of rough up that surface, they broadcast, they kind of smooth it up, and then they get the right rain after it. I've seen stands every bit as good as it being drilled. So you don't have to give up performance with the broadcast if you do things right and you get the right conditions.
Yeah, seed soil contacts, the moisture, and the tools. Again, we use a hand rakes. We have some rakes that we use for fire anyway, so we can get out there, and do some raking and end up with a good plot. And got to remember, these Hidey Hole food plots, they're not built to feed your entire population of deer. They're built to put some deer, in front of you broadside at 20 or 30 yards. So you got to remember the mission. And this blend you all created was for that mission. Lots of food, just lots and lots of seed, more seed than normal for that area, because the deer are going to be in there browsing. That's the whole objective of these plots.
Yeah, and so it's packaged in 35-pound bags, I think, and that's designed to do a third of an acre. So if you've only got a quarter of an acre, I'd just broadcast it all. I mean, you're not going to get hurt doing that. But yeah, it's designed for those small areas like that to really get enough seed out there to do the job.
And Colton, I think you mentioned some ways some guys can save money. If you got 2 or 3 buddies or something, I'll let you explain the details. I'm the wildlife guy. You handle all that business stuff. But what's some tips where guys can save money this fall?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, hunting's a tradition. You like to share stories with your buddies, or kind of guessing who's got a bigger buck on their cameras, and so yeah, if you just kind of pair up with them and get an order together. And that's definitely going to help save you on shipping, and then just sending it to one guy, then having to break it up into 2 or 3 different pallets.
Yeah, so much of the cost on everything, whether it's seed or anything else, so much of it is tied up in freight. Now, it does look like we avoided the UPS worker strike, which would have been disastrous for all phases of the economy. So it looks like they averted that at least. But there's no doubt that shipping things on a pallet is so much cheaper on a cost per pound basis than shipping it in boxes. And so what Colton is saying, if you get up to that 350 to 400 pounds, now we can go to a pallet. It makes a lot more sense. And when you look on our website, you'll see the volume discounts kicking in. The more you order, the bigger the discount is. And that's a direct result of saving on shipping costs.
Yeah, that's great information. Now, I do that with my neighbors, as y'all know. We kind of all get together, put an order in, and saves us a ton, saves everyone a ton by doing that. So I encourage y'all to cooperate. A lot of deer cooperatives out there, just neighbors, family members, whatever. And this, it just saves everyone money. That's a great thing, because you can go buy another dozen arrows or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys, for taking time today. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, I think, it's an exciting time of the year. As we get closer to hunting season, as we get closer to shifting from these summer plots over to the fall plots, it's just exciting. You know, I know it's super hot everywhere right now, so it's at least nice to think about cooler weather coming. And that's what fall means to me, is I can start thinking about, that harvest season, whether it's a harvest of crops or harvest of deer.
Yeah, that's right. My last thing I'll add, guys, is I had a buddy Dave call me, said, man, I'm so excited. I'm going to plant August 1st here next to me. And, here we are late July and there's no rain in our 10-day forecast. I was like, I'm glad you're excited, but let's wait till the weatherman at least gives us a hint there's some rain coming. So folks, if you're out there and, no matter what the calendar date says, if it's been dry like it is throughout much of the Midwest and there's no rain in the forecast, hold off. Those seeds or living organisms are going to need some moisture out there. Okay, guys, thanks so much for joining us and all the work you do to help hunters like me. I really appreciate it. And we'll catch up soon on what else you got. I know you got some field days coming up, and look forward to a review of that, because you're going to show us how the blends are working and all our stuff. So we'll come back to you here in a week or two and get an update on your test plots.
Yep, absolutely. Look forward to sharing that with you.
Take care, guys. We just finished creating a new Hidey Hole blend, clearing out some stuff and hanging a stand. And we'll be planting the Hidey Hole broadcast in that plot and a lot of our other Hidey Hole plots. Man, doing these activities is a great way to get outside and enjoy creation, but just as important as learning what works and doesn't work in that aspect of hunting, it's even more important to find time every day to intentionally seek the Creator's will and apply it to your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.